Hello. My quest for understanding all things Mountain Dew continues. And as you can tell, I'm doing a lot of research. You know, when I first started this project, I didn't even realize just all the different variants, all the different flavors, all the different, exclusivity ones, all of the different just restaurant exclusives, gas station exclusives, box store exclusives, all sorts of weird, interesting stories involving Mountain Dew. I didn't realize that for as much as I loved Mountain Dew in my original timeline, and how much it motivated me to keep going even when I was working out in the middle of the forest and chopping wood, I would still find time to enjoy the outdoors, relax, and take it easy. And maybe do some gaming here and there. But I didn't realize that comparatively to, say, my lifeline, timeline, universe, that there's so many different just concoctions of Mountain Dew. Still, the research continues. And honestly, it's a lot. God. I'm running a little bit out of steam, though. I know there's so much, but I don't know what to talk about next. I really don't. It's a little overwhelming. I don't know. I need that motivation. I need that drive. I need a very simple idea for an episode. I need that spark of ingenuity. That spark of hope. That little glimmer. Hey, Crash, what's up? Hey, I heard you were having some trouble figuring out an episode, so I hope maybe this will spark some joy. I mean, I wasn't trying to set up for... What? I wasn't trying to set up for a pun, but are you serious? Yeah, it's natural flavor. It's called Mountain Dew Spark. Really? It's an actual flavor of Mountain Dew. Yeah, it's a raspberry lemonade flavor called Mountain Dew Spark. Really? Yeah, really. For real. Well, okay. Who used to previously have it? Or you said it was previously an exclusive? Who used to have it? Speedway gas stations, I believe, last I checked. Speedway. Isn't that a gas station that's only in, the desert states and, the hot states? More or less, yeah. Huh. Why would Speedway have an exclusive? It was a race car flavor that was raspberry lemonade that was at Speedway gas stations, and it sold out so quickly and so fast, and it was so popular that Mountain Dew pulled the exclusivity and made it a flavor you could permanently get in store shelves at the time. Really? Yeah, I have some from my stash if you want to try it. It's in zero sugar, though. Yeah, I would love to try it. Well, here, let me give it to you real quick, and hopefully this will give you that spark that you're needing to do another episode. You know, thank you. Cover a new flavor you haven't tried. I appreciate it. Mountain Dew Spark. What flavor is this? Raspberry lemonade. Really? Mm-hmm. Raspberry lemonade. Huh. Well, I mean, is there much of a history or a story behind this one? Supposedly, it was centered around a lot of like race car themed events and like NASCAR stuff and a lot of like outdoor like summer racing stuff and racing themes. And they had a lot of giveaways for it at the time, but that's really all I can remember. Maybe you could dig something up and cover it up for a history segment or something. Who knows? Huh, that's cool. Well, maybe sometimes the simplest of episodes and the simplest of exclusives can just be right there in the palm of your hands. It gives you that spark, if you will. Huh. No wonder it's a Speedway exclusive. It has a car on it, too. So, the label art's really cool. Well, cool. When we, I guess, come back after this introduction, we'll talk a little more about Spark's history and we'll try Mountain Dew Spark. So, see y'all in a bit.
Alright, trying this out for the first time. Don't know how it's gonna be, so let's take a look.
So what the hell is Mountain Dew Spark to begin with? Well, believe it or not, unlike some of the previous flavors we've actually covered and talked about in the past, Mountain Dew Spark actually has a bit more attention to detail to it. See, Mountain Dew Spark was something that was originally supposed to be more or less a smooth launch, and was supposed to be initially released exclusively as a Speedway gas station exclusive for a very limited time in the late summer of 2020 and in 2021 before being released as a permanent non-exclusive flavor nationwide. Now, if you hear those sirens, that's because they heard us talking about Mountain Dew Spark. So, well, what really sparked the initiative was the fact that the flavor was so popular at Speedway gas stations and specifically in those regions that Speedway was sold at that they decided, you know what, it's selling so good that we want to actually take it outside of its exclusivity from Speedway and actually give it a permanent release in January of 2022 in the United States. Yeah, believe it or not, it was one of the very few gas station exclusive flavors that was so popular it made its way into retail chains as well as other, non-exclusive places as well too. And this was kind of that weird era where Mountain Dew was sort of like pitching exclusive variants and stuff to all sorts of various markets. Not just gas stations, but kind of getting a start with it. So, and it obviously didn't help that the initial release of this being in late 2020, the timing on it probably could have been a little better considered it had a rough start. As Crash has told me, we don't talk about a certain epidemic that have happened around that time. So, we try not to cover that. But regardless, even the factors that happened back then didn't stop the flavor from being as popular. So, and unlike, again, some of the other flavors we've covered, we actually have a little bit behind the scenes information to share with you as well too. Now, we'll get more into the actual rest of the history involving Spark here in a moment, but what I really want to cover and show you guys is actually, believe it or not, the original artist that did the illustrations for like the packaging and sort of the key art for it, if I may. Who we have here that I'm showing you is Eliza Frey. Or Eliza Frey. This is actually from their blog spot. And basically, this was the packaging that they sort of whipped up and the graphic designs that they did in partnership with PepsiCo Design Center. And they were the ones that illustrated and designed the packaging for the 2022 release of Spark and Spark Zero Sugar when it left Speedway gas stations. Which is funny because, ironically enough, they kept the feel and the aesthetic of Speedway on the label art, as well as that sort of idea of like it being a race car engine kind of vibe to the soda itself. And as interesting enough, while it is very wild to think about, Spark originally started as a non-zero sugar flavor. But because of how popular it was and the demand, they wound up making a zero sugar variant specifically for Spark. Now, this isn't the first and the last time we've actually seen this artist work on everything for Mountain Dew specifically. They did Mountain Dew Atomic Blue, which was exclusive to Sheets, which we'll cover in another episode. They did the key visuals for Thrashed Apple, which we also plan on covering in another episode. There's Uproar, which hopefully one day we'll get a chance to cover. And they did a lot more. But this was also sort of the key visual promo art that they did too, where they basically designed the key visuals supporting the actual launch of Mountain Dew Spark back when it was going to be, exclusive at Speedway. So they were there from the very start when it was a Speedway exclusive, and as you can see, even after it left Speedway itself. So they were busy for a while. Quite a bit, in fact. And they've done other promotional arts, key art too, and various other things with Mountain Dew in the past, which I think is pretty cool. But believe it or not, that wasn't the only interesting thing about Mountain Dew Spark this time around. See, Mountain Dew Spark also decided when it was being released as part of the promotion for Speedway that they were going to release special prizes and have a special contest and promo exclusive with Mountain Dew and Speedway and PepsiCo. Basically, it was one of those simple scan the QR code, scan the bottle, you go to a website, I think you submit your proof of purchase, and you got a chance to win prizes. Now, some of those prizes were aimed and geared specifically towards Mountain Dew prizes and Speedway gift cards, Speedway like food rewards, gas station prizes. But the biggest thing, at least one of them, was you had a chance to actually attend at the time some of the world's fastest moving car related activities, from NASCAR events to car shows to pretty much anything that involved going fast and pedal to the metal, which I thought was pretty interesting. And the reason why we know this is because we actually found from PR Newswire one of the original articles kind of sort of hinting and talking about it. So, if I may, we're going to try and read some of it verbatim for you. Dew Nation, rev your engines. Mountain Dew Spark is back at Speedway stores with supercharged prizes. Fans can grab bold raspberry lemonade flavored Mountain Dew Spark at 2,900 participating Speedway locations in a race for epic prizes. And this was back when it came back in around 2021, like mid 2021. But what's interesting was because it originally launched in 2020. Backed by popular demand, Mountain Dew is once again bringing the high-speed thrill of Mountain Dew Spark to Speedway and the Speedway community after selling out within weeks of its debut on shelves that year. That's right. That's how popular this flavor was. It sold out. It was gone. The bold pink beverage with a blast of raspberry lemonade flavor launched at Speedway as part of 2020's Year of Dew campaign, giving fans a chance to score exclusive product releases, epic promotions, and massive Mountain Dew surprises. And, well, during 2021, that year's promotion promises to make an even bigger splash. That time around the track, the brand is going full throttle with a tier rewards program that they actually had for Speedway and Mountain Dew Nation, even giving more chances to buy, scan, and win one-of-a-kind prizes. This means tickets to some of America's biggest racing events, leveled up to the ultimate fan experience. Plus, you had cool branded Mountain Dew merch, Speedway merch, and giveaways, including Speedway gift cards. And, a direct quote, last year's launch of Mountain Dew Spark at Speedway saw an incredible response from our fans, who are always looking for fun new flavors to accelerate their taste buds. That's why we're bringing it back in an even bolder way in 2021 at more Speedway locations and with epic prizing that brings and puts Dew Nation in the driver's seat. Kicking off in mid-August of that year, fans who fuel up with Mountain Dew Spark at select Speedway locations had an opportunity to complete an all-out race for ultimate rewards. Every purchase of Spark gave fans a chance to advance on the virtual racetrack, with each lap around the track. Fans gained an entry into 3 different prize checkpoints throughout the 11-week program, until they crossed the finish line. To cash in on prizes, consumers would scan the bottle at yearofdew.com/spark, and then Dew Nation will be able to track their progress via an online racetrack as they move around the track with each scan of the bottle. And the thing was, you got a chance to win some pretty dang cool prizes. Now, I don't know if this link is going to work or not, so let's see. Probably won't. It's probably a very dead link. More than likely, it's probably not going to work. Yeah, it's not working. But the point is, you had a chance to actually win some pretty cool prizes. And believe it or not, we actually even scoured eBay a little bit to see if one of those prizes was probably up for grabs. Now, obviously, we can't afford it because we have a limited budget. But one of the things that they had, which is being sold on eBay by various sellers for around $150, was a Mountain Dew Spark Igloo Cooler, which I think looks really cool. I would love to have one of these for my personal collection to shove some Mountain Dew, Spark in there as well as some drinks. Because honestly, Igloo Coolers are quite nice. And I hear the quality on them is pretty high quality. I think Crash even has one that he uses occasionally as well too, but not a Mountain Dew themed one. Maybe one day. They also had some lanyards as well too, which I thought was kind of cool. So, which was the little promo lanyard that kind of just showed off during the initial launch of it and was cool to kind of have. And they had a special professional polo that you could wear as well too. As you could see with like the embroidered logo, and it was more of like an employee shirt that you were able to get to sort of promote it. But I thought that was pretty neat. I wanted to show you guys that. So, fun little tidbits about Mountain Dew Spark. But the actual history of it is interesting. See, not only did it sell out like crazy because of its limited time release in 2020, but Spark was officially released in the North and South regions of the U.S. on August 3rd, 2020 and only sold in 20-ounce bottles for a limited time until October 2020. And it was sold out within a few weeks of its release. That's how crazy it was. So, and it also had a promo at the time too, where consumers could win weekly Spark themed merch, prizes, and would be able to even receive a free case of 20-ounce bottles. Then, in 2021, it got re-released, basically, as a re-release from August 2021 with the same promotion we talked about with the Year of Dew. And then, after all that was done when it sold out again, there were multiple designs and multiple renders and test bottles that were discovered online thanks to the Dew Drinker Discord in around September 2021 and a few other resources that led to the belief that after this discovery, Spark was no longer exclusive to Speedway gas stations and actually turned into a permanent flavor due to high demand from the US lineup. And as such, they were correct. Believe it or not, this isn't the first time that this has happened either. Livewire was released as a permanent flavor after 2 limited time runs, and even Baja Blast, the Nectar of the Gods, also had a similar turnout. But yeah, due to high demand at the time, its second limited time release and its first limited time release, Spark released in January 2022 in both bottled forms and in cans, along with a new zero sugar variant. And it was there for a long time. It had various sizes from 20-ounce bottles, 16 ounces, 16.9, 6-packs, and even a fountain form. And everything was going pretty well for the flavor. So, seemed to be going up and up from there, right? Well, you know, what could possibly go wrong? So, well, unfortunately, not even a couple years later, the hype and the exhaust on this car sort of burnt out a little bit. As unfortunately, there was a national discontinuation of various flavors that was sort of leaked around the sort of fourth quarter of 2023, but no one was quite sure yet. Believe it or not, our good buddy Team Supernova actually leaked out some of the information, but it wasn't quite confirmed yet, as there was a lot of back and forth happening. And then eventually, in addition to that, you know, Spark at the end of 2023, alongside the entirety of various other flavors, was rumored to be discontinued. And then sadly, on December 8th, 2023, there was an update given by Team Supernova, as well as various other non-official channels, that basically said, yeah, Major Melon and Spark, alongside their zero sugar variants, would stay in the must-carry list, meaning that they would become regional flavors, and in 2024 February, it would remain that way for a while. And that was just national discontinuation. And then the brakes were pulled from under the rug, because while it was still around nationally and in certain sectors, on October 15th of 2024, there was a final bonus update, revealing that unfortunately, they would be considered out of market by January 2025. And it was shown that a lot of other flavors basically just either their contracts didn't get renewed or they just weren't selling well. And unfortunately, as of January 2025, to be more specific, mid-January 2025, Mountain Dew Spark was discontinued. You could still see some of the flavor during like the summer that was still being sold in like the remaining product, but that was about it. That was it. However, interestingly enough, Canada felt a little differently otherwise. Yeah. Canada thought that apparently the flavor of Spark was too good to sort of, not let go. And as such, in 2022, Canada actually made it a permanent release for Mountain Dew Spark in all of their, places that they had Mountain Dew Spark. And as interesting as it was, they didn't stop there. In 2023, they had a limited time Circle K Froster, which was basically a freezie of Mountain Dew Spark. And if that wasn't enough, the flavor still exists, just not in the United States. Apparently in Poland, it's still around as of 2024. And in Australia, the flavor is around as a Spark Zero Sugar as of 2025. And interestingly enough, it's one of the few flavors, despite it being, in other regions and markets, that the US version never received a redesigned logo of it. Yeah, the sharp, edgy logo that everyone knows and loves. Well, the redesigned, more retro-rounded logo never got that redesign in the US since, well, those flavors don't exist in the US. But apparently other flavors, including Spark, as well as Major Melon, received the redesigned logo just outside of the US. So what does this basically say about the history of Mountain Dew Spark? Well, unfortunately, as delicious as the flavor is, it came and it went. It suffered from a little bit of burnout. The tires needed to be replaced a few times. Sometimes it had to get an oil change. And it still ran perfectly good for about a good 5-6 years. At least in the US, if we want to be very technical. Yeah, since it were released technically in 2020. So, and, while you could still technically kind of get it if you dig hard enough in 2025 in the US, chances are your odds are going to be very slim. And, well, just like any other good car, kind of have to start doing maintenance and looking to maybe trading it in after the 5-year mark. So, as sad as it is, Mountain Dew Spark is no longer here with us. But, thanks to some ingenuity, we managed to actually preserve the future a little bit. And as such, we actually have managed to do a taste test of it before its discontinuation. So, we will be back in a bit with its taste test. And we'll give you our thoughts on it. See you in a bit. Hello, cousin.
Hello, cousin. How are you?
I am good. I am recording a bunch of fun stuff. And, well, what the hell do we got here?
You got lemonade, strawberry lemonade, something or other.
It's a raspberry lemonade.
Raspberry lemonade, sorry. Raspberry is usually blue. So.
True. We have
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar.
Spark.
Spark.
And let me ask you a question before you start. When you taste this, if you happen to come up with any ideas or a spark of ingenuity, let me know.
Alright.
So we're gonna have him taste test it right now.
Very lemony.
Very lemony?
Not much raspberry.
Not much?
Now? No, I wouldn't say very much raspberry at all.
Just like a hint of it?
Maybe just a hint. Zero sugar definitely stops the flavor profile from coming through.
Okay.
But lemonade hits real heavy.
Well, that's good. Now, do me a favor, though. Try it in the iced Mountain Dew glass that I so conveniently have.
Oh, look at that.
That's a
Look
good
at that
fizz.
foam footage right there.
That's a good fizz. Look at that fizz. Get some fizz action. Perfect. Let me zoom back out. And cheers.
Yeah, still mostly just lemon.
Not a lot of raspberry?
No, not much at all.
Okay.
Just a little hint there at the end.
But at least, would you say it's tasty compared to all the other flavors you
it's
tried?
tasty. I mean, if you like lemons, I'd definitely go for it. Zero sugar, probably a lot of caffeine with...
Not that much caffeine, actually, if you check it.
Not that much. Be good with a little gin.
If I had some gin, I'd probably do that. So, alright. Well, thank you for taste testing it for me.
No problem.
So, with that in mind, I will be taste testing the Mountain Dew Spark as well, too, in a separate recording. But I will see you guys later for a spark of ingenuity. Alright, do you have any ideas that come to mind with that little bit of spark?
Like I said, gin would probably be good. I don't know. Maybe, honestly, some more lemonade.
There you go. Catch you guys later. Oh, hey. What's up, Crash? Hey, I've been asking people all around town all day what makes them spark joy in their lives, but what sparks joy in your life, Dewey? Anybody you miss in your original timeline? Any particular hobbies that make you happy?
Sparks and motivates
Anything
me,
that brings you joy? Any food you like? What do you like? Well, I don't know if I ever talked about this, but what sparks and motivates me in life is, obviously Mountain Dew. So Mountain Dew is pretty much the core essence of what's made me me and such a very versatile person, but I think what motivates me more in Mountain Dew is getting back home. One of these days getting back home and getting back to my job and getting back to my partner, to my wife. So I miss her. So I really do. And I'd like to see my wife, and I'd like to see, my job, and I'd like to go back to the great outdoors. Go back to doing what I love. So, but I have a higher purpose right now. A higher calling. I've obviously been plucked out of one reality and into another for a grander purpose, and it somehow connects to all of this with Mountain Dew and trying to figure out the secrets of Pitch Black will the answer I need to get me home. I didn't even know you had a full career and a wife and that you were married, Dewey. And we're gonna work hard to get you back home to your timeline, buddy. But until then, what sparks joy in your life now, at least while you're here? What's the spark in my life? I guess looking at old photos on my phone of all the goofy and corny dates me and my wife would go on. All the times we go on our little nature trails and walks together. All the times that we went and hung out back at the log cabin that I built for the winter, making fresh flapjacks and pancakes. Snuggling up by the fireplace, reading a good book and watching a movie. I like watching NASCAR. So, watching my race games, those are good. I love going to see like drag races and car races. Those are cool. I think they're fun. This one's so silly, but what sparks me joy is, you know, going to these little mom and pop shops and, you know, trying out all the crazy wild food that I would normally never eat, but my wife's like, "Oh, honey, you have to try this. It's so goofy." And she'd drag me along, and we'd go sit down, and, you know, we'd get some food together, and, you know, talk with the locals. Yeah. Yeah. It was nice. I liked my life. I still do. And I'd like to go back to that one day and just take it easy. So, but work has to get done. So, and I gotta keep making the effort in order to get back one of these days. So, thanks for that. I saw what you were trying to do, and I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Love you, buddy.
Well, hey everybody. In a interesting turn of events, even my lovely friend here, who happens to not only run the HOA at my condo complex, but make sure that everyone stays out of trouble and, you know, keeps in check, is even a Mountain Dew fan. And how long have you been a Mountain Dew fan?
About 15 years. I really like Mountain Dew, especially in the middle of the afternoon. And I've been dying to try this new raspberry lemonade one.
So you've never had Spark before?
Nope.
So, did you know that originally it was actually a Speedway exclusive?
No.
Yeah, so originally this was a exclusive flavor you could only get at Speedway gas stations. Oh. So, and then it was so popular enough that Mountain Dew was just like, screw it, we're gonna make it unexclusive, and now everyone can get it. And get a zero sugar. So
that's good, because I have to have diet or zero sugar.
That's the same here. So, but what got you into Mountain Dew?
Working really late and being tired.
Caffeine.
I like the taste though.
That's fair
It's a
enough.
change from Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Mountain Dew usually has a little bit of a better taste. And so what we're doing today is we've got a special taste test. Because she has not had Spark before. So, with that in mind,
Here we go. That's really good.
you like it?
I do.
You
Just a very subtle watermelon taste.
you Mountain Dew like it?
I Mountain Dew like it.
Ah, so would you say it's a strong raspberry or like a small raspberry taste or like a lemonade
It's just
taste?
a light raspberry taste. The lemonade's kind of real soft in it.
Okay. But this is
It's not real powerful.
it's not overwhelming.
Nope.
Perfect. Would you actually get this again if you found it in stores?
Yeah, actually I would.
Well, by all means, I'm glad I had a spare bottle, so go ahead and enjoy it. So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Cheers.
cheers. But with that, we will be back with more of this Insider Dew-exclusive video shortly. So, see you around.
Bye.
Hey, we're back. So, we are about to finally try Mountain Dew Spark. And let's see how it is. As always, we've got our Mountain Dew themed glass here as well too, with a little bit of melted water and ice, so palate cleanser. Gotta stay hydrated. And as such, we're gonna try it. Ladies and gentlemen, people of all identities across the universe, Mountain Dew Spark. Zero sugar. Cheers. That's actually not too bad. Yeah, no, that's actually pretty good. That's really refreshing. I will say this though. He says that this is one of his favorite flavors. I think it's mostly because it's one of the few that's in zero sugar. So he gets to actually enjoy it. But I am not as big into raspberries as, say, other people are. But it's pleasant. The lemonade helps kind of cut through the raspberry taste a little bit. But the other thing, too, is that Mountain Dew is already pretty much a citrus soda, if you will. So you're kind of adding, like, essentially more citrus with the lemonade and then the raspberry flavor. So it's pretty potent, but it's a good flavor regardless. So, but now we gotta try it iced in our Mountain Dew glass. I will say, it is a nice color. It's a little bit of a clearer color. Almost like a light pinkish, if you will. I wonder why that reminds me of someone that lives here. Okay, that's way better iced. That is way, way better iced. I like that. That is much more refreshing. A little crisper. Honestly, that would be good. As weird as it's going to sound. And a little stereotypical, I apologize. But you know what this would go really good with? If you went to a NASCAR race. Or just like a derby race or some street races. Obviously, legal street races. You know, very, very clearly street legal races of some kind, or street drifting, stuff like that. Or maybe like a car show. This would go great at like a car show. I would enjoy that. And you know what? Drinking that and just talking about a flavor that, while it doesn't have a whole lot of history behind it, at least from what I've uncovered, it's still a very pleasant flavor. Interestingly enough, too, there isn't a whole lot of, like, specific marketing that was done behind this, too. This was something that was just kind of, you know, manifested into existence. So I didn't see a whole lot of marketing with the whole, you know, Speedway angle. I think the only promotion that they probably had was maybe a couple giveaways. So, but that was about it. There was one contest called the yearofdew.com/spark. And you had a chance to win some prizes based on, you know, Mountain Dew Spark. Where you had a chance to actually advance on a virtual racetrack. And, you know, win like on a virtual race for a chance to win prizes. But that would have been about it. So, but yeah. Strange that this got 2, like, limited time releases and re-releases before it being a permanent flavor. So, not bad, but just interesting, to say the least. So, although I do like some of the art that they did for it, too. But, yeah, other than that, you got a chance to win, like, an aluminum sign, a wall clock, a coaster, coolers, stuff like that. So, that actually would be kind of cool one of these days. Maybe as like a side video or side episode. Mountain Dew swag. Research all the different Mountain Dew swag there is over the years. And maybe even show off some of the stuff we have. So, but yeah. I guess sometimes the simplest ideas are the best ideas. No, I mean, not every one of these episodes is going to be a big half-hour, hour-long spectacle. And sometimes the history of Mountain Dew flavors is just that. Just neat and fascinating. And as for me, well, it's good to know that Spark here is a permanent flavor and isn't going anywhere anytime soon. At least for the most part. It might be discontinued in some parts of the country or some parts of this timeline universe, but it's still going to be around in some capacity, so stock up while you can. And as for me, well, I'm going to continue my research on all things Mountain Dew. But thanks for watching this one. Hey, come on in. Hey, Haruko. Oh, hey, Dewey. What's going on? Well, it's just, I don't know. Well, talk to me. What's on your mind? You seem a little scattered. Crash came up to me earlier and was doing this whole sort of, you know, eyes on the scene, report thing of what brings people joy and what brings spark to people's lives. Yeah. And it just got me thinking about, my life, in my original timeline before, you got plucked here out of the universe. Yeah. Before I got plucked into all of this. And it got me to thinking about, my job and the outdoors and my wife and everything else. Huh. Come to think of it, you never talked much about what your life was like in your original timeline with us. Yeah, well, you guys were always so busy and you guys were always so preoccupied with other stuff that, I just wanted to focus as much time and investment on trying to get back home. And, you wanted to get as much done as you could as possible. Yeah. But there's a part of me that misses, how things were before everything happened, before I left and was plucked here. Well, if I recall, you were originally going to do a vlog post about Mountain Dew Pitch Black, and as you were about to try it, you got basically ripped from your timeline to ours, along with some other future version of Crash, and we had to all deal with that at some point. Yeah. I remember. It was very confusing. Yeah, very confusing time. That's when I started to realize, turns out that, there's more to Johnny than I think a lot of people realize or give him credit for. Just like how there's a lot more to you and I. Yeah. Turns out everybody on the ship is very layered and complicated. Well, how so? Well, I mean, look at me, for example. I was a first-class Space Patrol officer working with a private police task force and organization that basically was responsible for keeping peace and restoring harmony across the universe and fighting, fascist corporations and dictators and, companies and evil beings and stuff like that. And part of my job was to go out and investigate all these different timelines and make arrests and bring people in, And then during one of my missions, I fell in love with one of the people that I was arresting. It was a whole big, brutal fight and almost on a scale of biblical war portions. And I had actually handcuffed the guy. And then he escaped. So, and he left. And turns out that the person that I had fell in love with, I didn't fall in love with him because of who he was. You fell in love with him because of his power, his essence. I fell in love with the concept of him. I fell in love with the idea of him. I fell in love with what he was capable of, not who he was. And because of that, I sought out to chase this person down to the point of wanting to violently eat and consume said person. And I did successfully at one point for like 5-10 seconds. And then he was gone again. And then through that, I somehow gained a twin, basically, a sister. Someone who I could, call family. Jinyu. Yeah. So, and, I thought I was madly in love with this person. And then it turns out that, well, I gave up on that. I gave up on that love. I was tired of being the one who was chasing. I wanted to be the chasee. And then suddenly, some random white guy, all the way from a completely different version of Earth, breaks the barriers of space, time, and reality, thanks to some of his friends and years of learning how to meditate and practice shifting and astral projection and metaphysical, tethering, and somehow opens up a portal out in the middle of a desert and meets up with me. And the rest is history. Nah. Or at least history I'll talk about another day. What about you and your wife? Me and my wife, we met one day because years ago I actually used to work on a lot of cars, and I was a mechanic. I was one of the best mechanics, to the point where I was a contract mechanic, and companies would actually contract me out to go work at like big events and stuff. And I was working at an event one day. I met this very bodacious babe. And we started talking and flirting a little bit. I was a mechanic and she was a PR person. And we started talking and just things clicked. And one thing led to another. We both had enough money, so we decided to keep working our jobs, but we saved up for a plot of land out in basically in the middle of the woods. I wanted to be closer to nature and enjoy my love of Mountain Dew. She wanted to enjoy her drinks and her passions and start getting back into art and painting. And we built a log cabin together. Aww. How cute yet cliche. Yeah. Does Crash know about all this? No. He only knows about, the wife part and how I used to work, so. I want to talk to him one day about my origins, but, he's just so busy. Well, he's got a lot on his plates now. Plates, plural. Yeah. So, especially with him being an alien now. Yeah. It's a little odd, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So, but, I mean, I've got a lot on my plate with now being a, chief investigations officer. I got promoted out of nowhere. Do you know how much bullshit paperwork and emails and stuff I always have to deal with now? An awful lot. And I hate it. But you'd be surprised how the things that bring you joy, that spark your ignition, can start from just a simple conversation. And maybe instead of constantly pushing forward so aggressively, maybe it's time to slow the brakes. Yeah. Enjoy the world around you where you're at now rather than speed run through it. Don't rush to the finish line. Enjoy the drive. Yeah. Thanks, Haruko. I needed that. You're welcome. Happy to help, Dewey. Where's Jinyu and Crash, by the way? They're off on some adventure. So, taking care of something. Yeah. Well, I better go end the episode. Yeah, you probably should. Yeah. Thanks again. No problem.
It's our
Ippy. And it's perfect.
oh wow.
What's
Of course.
Ooh, I could.
You know,
I could.
maybe
make a
Haruko's
really
right.
relevant bad joke. I
Do
could.
it. Do
Maybe
it.
it's time
Do it.
for
Yeah,
once,
y'all gotta
instead
fucking
of
wait for this one.
rushing through things
Sure.
and trying to push myself too hard, I should just enjoy the moment. I should just enjoy myself I should just
mine's
relax.
fucked up, too.
and soak
Yeah,
in
this is a throwaway.
everything that all these adventures in these universes present to me.
Confirm selection.
Maybe I'm not a big multiverse traveler sci-fi
We're off to a
guy
good start.
like, you know,
I
some
like
of the
that
others,
second
but
one in
I was
particular.
actually born in Texas, so.
maybe I can just enjoy the simple
Yeah.
stuff that I find along the way.
So they got-
Maybe I can vlog about it. Maybe I can
What'd you
document
say?
it
Hang on.
still.
I
And
can actually make this joke since I've lived there before.
Maybe
What'd you
one
say
day
about Texas?
I'll get back to you, hon.
What'd you say about
Go with
Texas?
I think we should flip Oklahoma upside down and let Texas wear it as a hat.
Sounds like they're having
Yeah.
fun playing
Wait,
some
wait.
games.
Oklahoma.
So how would you say?
I'm gonna go watch them and see what they're up to.
In the meantime,
And
would Graham
kinda
find
peek
this
in.
building get oddly charming?
I want to grab and find the stream.
Honestly,
What
it
would
sounds like a
happen?
good
I
idea.
have to load this up on my phone.
Mm.
Let's see how this works.
What the heck? Ugh, gotta get out of this chair. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will see you when I get back to my timeline one of these days, honey. I love you, Vanessa. I'll be back sooner than you realize.